Alrighty, so we are going to be talking about Meryl Streep today. We did a video previously talking about Millie Bobby Brown and specifically how to use the eyes, the character analysis video, and with some of the cast members of Stranger Things as well. That was specifically talking just about the eyes. Today we're going to be going into details on other things, multiple things, not just one specific element to it. The eyes, they're super, super, super important. When it comes to acting, especially because of the camera and how you're going to be framed. You'll find that if you've seen that video, Meryl Streep will be doing the same thing here with that 90 to 10% ratio. Sometimes she might change it a little bit in that moment of the scene. Maybe in that scene, it might be more of an 80-20 type of deal. But if you compared it to, say, for example, the whole movie, then you would get a whole totally different percentage. So we're going to be going over all of this coming up here. So let's pull it up. I got a few scenes. And remember, if you guys want to see the full clips of all of these scenes, the links will be down in the description below. Okay, so we're going to be watching some of this one here. Let's make sure we got the volume up a little bit. Okay, so one note that I do want to make when it comes to acting, and you're going to find it in this scene, is, well, let's play it. Let's play it and then you guys can see.
We know you had a rotten childhood, Mom. Who didn't? No, you do not know. None of you know. None of you know, except this woman right here. And that man we buried today. Oh, sweet girl. Sweet Barbara.
Okay, so we're just going to review just this little bit right here for a minute. So, as you can see, at the very beginning there, she blew up. She got mad. She got angry. One of the problems that actors tend to have is there get scenes where they have to be mad, okay? And they might do something like this, what Meryl Streep did, right? They bang their fist on the table and they start yelling and they say, you don't understand. The mistake, though, that some actors sometimes fall into is that they will continue that tone, continue yelling to that degree. Let's say, for example, we'll call that a 10, right? For Meryl Streep, it's not a 10, but we'll just say it's a 10. She goes to a 10 right there. Well, most actors would continue that 10 all the way until still where we went up and paused. You don't want to do that. You want to have levels and fluctuations. It's kind of like if you guys have played music or listened to music. There's ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs. It's never just we're up and we're constantly staying up here because we have in the songs. We have verse, choruses, bridge. We have multiple things going on when we're listening to a song. It's ups and downs, hills and valleys. You can think of sometimes the ocean. People like that idea of it better, where the waves, they go up and then they're down, they're up, they're down. Sometimes they're calm, but then they go up and down. A wave never stays up forever. It always has to come crashing down eventually. So you'll notice that within this scene. So again, if we play it here,
rotten childhood, Mom. Who didn't?
So she gets very mad by that comment. So she screams.
This woman right here, and that man we buried today.
And then you can see she doesn't stay yelling.
Sweet girl.
And she's just going, oh my gosh, you don't understand. You don't know what's going on. So there's different levels in there that are happening. And you find she will have multiple emotions, especially if you go and you watch the whole scene. Her emotions are changing. It's not just staying at pure anger, though that might be most of it, right? She's kind of upset in the scene. We can see that. But also, you can still be upset and you can still feel bad. If you've ever been in an argument with somebody and you've been upset, well, you can still be upset, and then sometimes you feel bad. You're like, okay, I'm sorry I said that, but this is how I'm feeling. This is what's happening, right? And then maybe they say something to you that gets you mad again, and then all of a sudden you explode. Again, it's those hills and valleys, like a wave. It goes up and it comes down. A song. We have higher moments in the song. We have a little bit lower moments in the song. So you'll find that the emotions kind of change. So again, if we watch this,
rotten childhood, Mom. Who didn't?
So she reacts to that.
None of you know. None of you know, except this woman right
and then
here.
You can see her emotions changing. And now she's like, look,
Sweet Barbara. My heart breaks for every time.
So this right here, if you're watching it, is completely different than what we just saw 5 seconds ago.
Our families to graduate high school, and he wound up an award-winning poet. You girls.
Sometimes people will go on with the scene and they would say award-winning poet. If we watch,
you girl, an award-winning poet.
Again, there's a
You girls.
musicality. Oh, she doesn't go award-winning poet and just keep screaming it. She brings it down a little bit right when she says poet.
The award-winning poet. You girls.
Now, with your acting, should you go and try and really like write it out like music and have every specific moment for what you have to do and how you have to be? No, you don't. But it is important to realize what's happening in the scene, in this scene here, and finding out, okay, what's working and what's good and how you can bring that into your own acting. What you should be taking away from this is the fact that you should be having hills and valleys. That's one of the biggest things you should be taking away. There should be hills and valleys within your work, and you can change your emotion. You can have multiple emotions. You can be mad, right? You can be angry, but you can bring it back, and you can feel bad for somebody. You can bring it back and try and be a little bit understanding, but then you're saying something that triggers you, or they say something that you're responding to, and you just blow up again, right? Now, look, there are moments when you can be at that 10 for the entire scene. Maybe it would be perfect for a certain scene to do that. It just so happens in this scene that that's not what Meryl Streep did. And I think it's probably a little bit better like this. You'll find if you do acting classes, people will go to 10 all the time and they'll stay at 10 through the whole scene. And it ends up being a boring scene. So you have to find how there's hills and valleys. Now, another thing that sometimes people mess up on is when they have to repeat words. So we're going to see Meryl Streep right here. She's about to repeat a word to one of the girls, and then she's going to say it to the next one. So just watch this real quick and just see how she says it differently from one girl to the next.
Girls just given a college education. Take it for
So
granted,
she says
no
it to her
doubt.
first.
Where'd you wind up? What do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do?
So let's just listen to that again.
What do you do?
Oops.
You do, no doubt. Where'd you wind up? What do you do? What do you do?
So she's making a point of not making it sound the same. Again, in some moments, you might say the same thing over and over, and maybe you would say to someone, what would you do? What would you do? But sometimes that can be kind of plain. In your everyday life, you don't normally do that. I wouldn't go, if there's two people in front of me, say it the exact same way. What would you do? What would you do? For one person, I might say it the first way. What would you do? And the next person, what would you do? Because you're trying to get an answer. She's trying to get an answer in that scene. What do you do? Okay, well, what about you? What do you do? So that's how she's kind of working. That's how she's going within the scene. She's having hills and valleys when she's doing her characters. Now, different characters are going to have different hills and valleys. If you remember before, we talked about percentages that actors have in ourselves. And what I mean by percentages is this. You, as a human being, who you are, you have a certain percentage of your emotions on a daily basis, on the average basis of your life. So say, for example, you're usually a happy person, right? Let's say 90% of your life, you're a very happy person. And then 10%, you're not. You're an angry person. Let's just say, for example here. Now, if we change that ratio, essentially, you're changing who you naturally are, which then creates a new character, someone that's different. That's why when you get into an argument with somebody and afterwards you apologize and you say, look, I'm sorry, I just wasn't being me there. You know, I got too angry. I was in the heat of the moment. And look, I'm sorry, right? Because we're not being ourselves. You know, when we get into an argument, we're in that moment. When we're angry, we're in that 10% moment. Now, how we create characters while still being ourselves is we grow that percentage and we change it. So instead of it being 90% happy, 10% mad, you might change it and say, okay, well, maybe I'm 70% mad and 30% happy. So on an average daily basis. So what does that mean? Well, when you're mad, when you're unhappy, usually what? Usually maybe you walk around with a chip on your shoulder. Usually if anyone says anything to you in a certain moment, you could blow up at them, or you're going to roll your eyes, or you're going to be rude. You're not going to be very pleasant. You're not going to smile very much at all. You know, when you're happy, sure you might, but not when you're unhappy. And if we find that, if we say, okay, well, this is how I am when I'm mad, if you have to play a character who's mad all the time or who's angry or frustrated, all you have to do is just make it more of a constant within your character. So instead of having it be, okay, I'm 90% happy and 10% angry, well, maybe the character that you have to play has to be someone who has a constant chip on their shoulder. And maybe that type of person would still be you. You can still have your own anger, your own happiness, but you change the ratio and you change the percentage. Now, of course, the more things you change, the farther away it gets from you. Meryl Streep here, another thing she has that's different, she has an accent. It's different. Costuming, that's different. The lighting of the scene is different. So there's a lot of elements that get involved when creating these characters here. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching this video. This was part 1 of Meryl Streep watching her acting with this acting analysis video. Part 2 will be coming out, so stay tuned for that. We will have other multiple scenes that we will look through. All righty, guys. If you guys are interested in my 10-hour acting masterclass, I will leave that down in the description below and also in the comment section. It takes 2 minutes to sign up. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you can be up to date with everything. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.